But on the way there, here's a bunch of grown men. We pull over on the highway and I have the music blaring on Bertha. And the guys are dancing on the side of the highway. We look at each other and go, guys, can you believe this? We're dancing in the middle of nowhere. A bunch of grown men. This is freedom. You release your inhibitions. You do what you want.
So she got time for me. I'ma take this time with me. I've been giving all my energy. So she wanna ride with me. So she got time for me. I'ma take this time with me. I've been giving all my energy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Motorcycle Lounge, where we talk about motorcycles and hobbies and passions. I'm your host, Jeff, also known as the Kawatrooper. You're probably tired of looking at, YouTube videos of, reviews on bikes, how fast they go, moto vlogs that don't even, pique your interest or anything like that. The whole point of this show is to show that everybody that we meet, everybody that I show to you, all our guests, have different opinions, different likes, come from all different backgrounds, and just to show you that, the motorcycle world is more inclusive than you think. For those that's just tuning in and this is your first episode, welcome to the fam. And I hope you enjoy it. The goal of this podcast is to open your minds on the possibility of motorcycles and the impacts it's had on our lives with our stories that we're going to share. And so, if you have questions like, why don't I own a bike yet? Maybe you'll find your answer here. If you have what kind of questions do you have about the motorcycle world? If by watching this, you might even answer it yourself by listening. And that's it. That's the whole point. So today's guest, we have Nick, and he graciously invited us to his home. That's it. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
All right, Nick. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you're from?
Born and raised in our local city, Montreal, out of a Greek home, both parents from Greece. By the age of 13, I was on a moped.
Okay.
In the city. So 50 cents of gasoline got me out all day from one end of the city to the other. I found that exciting.
Okay.
But even before that, Jeff, when I was way little, I lived in the plateau, so where traffic was dense. There was several motorcycles in my neighborhood, so the thought of sitting on this machine and driving through the wind with it captured me from an age of, I can honestly say, 5 or 6 years old. Okay. I would look at the lines of a motorcycle and look at all the shiny chrome. I was in awe I would be stuck there for 15 minutes just looking all over and taking it all in. It was something that captivated me from a very young age, where it brought me at the age of 13 mopeding around town. And by 18, I was on a real motorcycle, a 305 Kawasaki GPZ.
Jeez, okay.
I rode that for one summer. I found that not big enough, let's say. The following summer, I got on a Kawasaki 650, Kawasaki KZ 650. Rode that for a couple of years. Then I went Supersport GSX R1100. But for the last 19, 20 years, it's been Harley Davidson for me. I've come of an age now where I'm not interested in the high speeds. I'm interested in touring. And with my Harley Davidsons, Jeff, I've actually had an opportunity that I had never taken before with any of my sport bikes, was to tour Quebec.
Okay.
There are incredible areas to visit all across our province, from the Saguenay region to the Gaspé region. It's just like you're hopping into a magazine and rolling in the roads. It's phenomenal. And these areas offer seafood that
Hell
we
yeah.
love.
Well, I mean, you just said you're Greek, right?
Correct.
You love your seafood.
Love my seafood. So when we get out to Gaspé, it's a smorgasbord of seafood. Then we started doing overnighters in Maine, in New Hampshire. So we go down on a Saturday. We'll leave here on a Saturday. We'll go down and come back on a Sunday. We'll spend the day on the road. We'll have supper as a group in Maine. We'll get up the next morning, have breakfast together, and ride home the whole day.
Nice.
Yeah, so we get to enjoy the goodies that come along with the sport, and the food being one of them. We call ourselves, we ride to eat. We don't live to
see,
ride.
that's living there. That's living.
We ride to eat.
Hey, if you guys don't notice this, I'm a bigger guy, about 280 something pounds. I love to eat, and just that just captivated me, and nice. That being said, what kind of bike do you have now?
Now I'm fortunate enough to have two in the garage, and they're both Harleys. One being a low boy that I bought in 2003, and another one being it's a touring bike. It's the Electra Glide. I have the luggage, the radio, the windjammer, so I can load my stuff up on that and tour for a month if I want to. I can go anywhere with that. Yeah. I enjoy the touring part of it more than anything now, because it allows me to go into every nook and cranny, like I said, of our province and other states. You can get into anywhere you want with a bike, park it easily, and enjoy the day. It's spectacular. So with that being said, my love for these machines, I got my lowboy in 2003, and a good clique of friends formed with Harley Davidsons. We were about a dozen. Yeah, we were a dozen guys. So we rode that summer of 2003, and immediately that winter, we decided to put together a riding club.
Okay.
And I'm going to emphasize on that name one more time. A riding club is a club that gets together to enjoy riding. And don't get me wrong, we respect every aspect of every other motorcycle club that's out there in North America, and their mandates. I mean, we respect everybody and let them do their thing. We're just a riding club that rides weekends, weeks, and that's what we look forward to. So we've created a group from the spring of 2004 called the Bro Riders of Montreal. We started off with a dozen guys. Now we're north of 40 members. And going forward, this would be the 19th season together. So with that being said, we're going to include, because over all these years, it's been exclusive to Harley-Davidson riders. It's been exclusive to male riders. So we've decided to modernize, and we've put together or are in the middle of putting together a women's division with a different name, of course.
I mean, the girls can be bros too, though, no?
Yeah, they can, and obviously there's some out there. But we want to give them their unique name. That's to be determined in the next few weeks. And with that being said, also, we want to venture out to something we hadn't done, never even thought of in the past. Start a sport bike division. Because and I know, if I'm on my Harley and you're on your sport bike, after 15 minutes of doing 95, you're going to be pissed off at me.
Yeah, okay. No, totally very understandable. I mean, some people do buy super bikes or sports tourings, and they do they enjoy the rides, even if it's not super fast. Some people, they ride for the scenery.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there are others that go for the adrenaline rush and they're like, shoo, let's go 250,
Yeah.
No, very understandable. And my question to you is why? Why though? Why would you open up for different, different?
Because at the end of the day, Jeff, we're all in this sport for relatively the same reason. Freedom, to be out there, to be enjoying the open roads, and Quebec has some beautiful roads to enjoy.
We're going to touch upon that in a little bit here, but I did want to ask you about that. What does freedom mean to you, especially as a motorcycle rider? Because again, freedom means a lot of things to different people. You know what I mean?
When you're able to mount your bike and not bring a GPS with you and ride the whole day and not feel like you have to be anywhere at a certain hour, that's a sense of freedom. When you're away from every other responsibility, the stress washes off you with the wind. It's an incredible feeling. I felt it in my earlier years of Harley Davidson. Because on my sport bike I was way younger, but I would come home from work at 9 p.m., change my clothing, get on my Harley, go out for an hour and a half, and I'd come home a new man.
Really?
An hour and a half of riding.
Okay.
Yeah. It relieved me of a whole lot of stress, a lot of things trapped up in my head and eating at me, and I went home, I was fine, I slept like a baby.
Interesting. Now, that being said, did you have that same feeling when you were on your Supersport, or?
I was at a different time of my life. I was way younger. When I got a Supersport, I was 21 years old. So at 21, you think different, you live different. Everything is different. I couldn't fathom, though, taking my Supersport bike and doing 11, 12, or 13 hours on it in one day. I couldn't. Whereas on a Harley, you sit back and you're comfortable. And not to take away from anything, from any other brand or make of bike. I find my comfort there.
Oh, that's fair.
So that's why we're opening up to guys and girls being an Indian, being at a Victory, being a Harley, being a metric cruiser. We're opening because at the end we're all in it for the same thing. It's real. Some people think that because you're on a type or a brand of motorcycle, you have a certain status and you look down upon others. No. You shouldn't think that way. You're taking away pleasure from yourself, thinking that way.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're on the road, and you're whatever bike you're on, and you're waving to another oncoming motorcycle. That's it's a common courtesy. It's a common courtesy. They warn you about accidents. They warn you about police. They warn you about many different things. So it doesn't matter what brand of bike they're on.
It's the fact that you're on two wheels.
Correct. And there's a camaraderie there.
No,
And there's a
it's
sort of
true.
respect, a mutual respect, I think.
No, that's a great answer, actually. So a lot of people have perceptions of when you're a rider, you have to be a certain status, and like you just said, there's technically no status, or you shouldn't think yourself better just because you ride something different. But obviously, some people that don't even have bikes, they think that every single motorcycle rider is either a crazy person that likes to go fast, or they must be a doctor to be able to afford a Supersport, or they must be a criminal because they own like a chopper or whatever. What do you do as a profession, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in sales. I'm a sales manager of a Honda dealership. So I have a staff that I run. I provide vehicles for them to sell. I meet their clients. I meddle with the service department. I'm everywhere in the dealership. So I meet families, children, people all day in my office or in my dealership.
Now that's been how many years that you've been riding now? Because I can't do the calculations, and I'm Asian. So
I've been riding for over 40 years.
40 years, okay. Do you think that right now you're at the level where it's strictly Harley or strictly cruisers for me from now on?
I thought about that. And as the years progress, you want to remain comfortable.
Yeah.
So to go back to a sport bike would be quite a challenge. I'm in my 50s, and I enjoy being on the bike for hours at a time. And I don't know if a sport bike would allow me. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to take one out for an hour. But to keep it on the road for 6, 7, or 8 hours, it would tire me out, I think.
Obviously, you said you had a super sport and now you're in a cruiser, but my question for you is, have you ever pushed the limits of your cruiser?
You poke the bear. You're poking the bear, Jeff. Yes,
It is what it is.
Like it's a guy that jumped off of a sport bike and is riding a Harley. So my Harley is by far not stock. Neither of them. They are in the vicinity of, let's say, about 140 horsepower each one.
Okay.
And about 140 torque each one. So there's get up and go. I hate to have to downshift to pass a guy with his trailer and mud coming off of it. Whatever gear I'm in, I could be in 6th gear, I just go around and I don't have to, I don't like the downshifting part of it.
You could actually just pull the throttle
And go.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with that kind of torque and that kind of horsepower, it allows you to. I don't know how easy that would be on a stock Harley motor. It wouldn't, actually. It'd be quite a feat. Putting yourself in danger as well. So, yeah. Best defense in my book is a good offense.
A lot of people don't think like that, but that's how we ride in Quebec, boys
That's right.
and girls.
That's
how
right.
We ride. That's why the whole world hates us.
They do. They think we're nuts here in Quebec. But with every right, because I was speaking to an officer of the Sûreté de Québec, and the per capita accidents is a little above my comfort zone.
Really?
Yeah. They are scraping up people all summer long in the country roads up north, all around, yeah. So you got to be careful out there. Like I said, I may have been on a bike. I may be on a bike now 42 years. I've been fortunate, knock on wood. Very, very small incident when I first started due to lack of experience. But other than that, I've been careful. There's no need to be the clown or to be the cowboy. Some call them cowboys. There's no need for that anymore. Not in our group anyway. The younger ones can do what they feel gives them pleasure. Where I'm not there anymore. Even though, like I said, the bikes are both hopped up. It's just, to pass a truck, just to get instant acceleration. I'm not racing with the bikes. Yeah.
Oh, that's a very great answer, actually. As you know, we are in January right now, mid-January, and we have, like today, the snow is just insane. And I work in transport. Toronto, Montreal, Winnipeg, we're all getting hit hard with all of this snow and ice. Are you itching for March 16th? Or do you wait a little bit longer? Because some people, they do wait until the roads are clear, until there's no more salt or gravel. Like, how are you in terms of waiting for the right time to ride? And what do you do to keep your mind, busy all the time?
Christmas is done. New Year's is done. I'm ready to ride.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm ready to ride. Once the holidays are out of the way, I could just see March down the road. There's March. I can see it. I can see March. It's coming. So I'm the kind of guy that gets out as soon as it's legal. And there are certain factors that you have to look out for. Early season riding. There could be a small ice patch. There could be, there's a lot of gravel from the remnants of the winter stuff that they use on roads. There's a lot of that. So you have to be really careful. You have to know what you're doing. You can't take a young rider and tell him to go out, and it's okay because it's March 16th, to go out there and ride because it's 9 degrees and it's March 16th. I would strongly suggest they wait till the roads are cleaner and the asphalt is warmer, whereas the rubber can adhere a little better. There's a lot of aspects you have to look into when you're riding early season. You need to have the right rubber. You need to have the right pressure in your tires. You need to make sure that your battery has been maintained through the winter months while you have it in storage. So there's a few steps you have to take before you open the garage door and take her out. There's gas additives you add to keep your gas from getting old. So there's a few little things. Not much. It's just gas. Tender the battery, and you're good to go. But before you roll out, you got to check tire pressure. Don't forget you're on 2 wheels. Not like in 4 wheels where you feel a little shake in the car, and there's no room for those kind of errors on 2 wheels.
Yeah. If you don't check, it's literally ride or die.
You have to check your tire pressure weekly. They recommend before every ride, but let's be real, no one will ever do that. So once a week, check the tire pressure. There's only 2 of them under you.
You know, and it's funny that you mentioned that because for myself, my first year, I didn't check my tires at all, and I blew out on Highway 10, just passing. What was it? It wasn't. What was that city? Anyways, I was on Highway 10 with a friend, and my tire blew, and it was the scariest feel. Like I came out of it with no scrapes or whatever. It was honestly the scariest thing because not only do you feel your bike going down, but you're wobbling left and right, and you're like, why is my tail moving left and right? This doesn't make sense. So I pulled off to the side, and I noticed that it actually exploded in 4 different places. And I asked, who did I ask? It was one of the head mechanics at Honda on DeCarry. He's like, you didn't check your tires, did you? I'm like, no, why? Because these are pretty brand new tires. I just bought the bike. He's like, yeah, but throughout the season, you always have to check your tires. If it's not the right pressure, then it's going to explode on you. So I made the extra step of, checking my tires starting last year. And it's made a whole world of difference. I realized that when you add more air, you actually go faster. I mean, that's me. I have a Kawasaki Vulcan 900 custom.
Okay.
It's big enough to haul my heavy ass around, but it's still pretty fast. And I really enjoy the speed of it. I'd like to try a Supersport or at least try a sports touring eventually. But I love my bike. And that's actually another question that I had for you. You had mentioned before you take her out. Does that mean that you have names for your bikes?
Yes, I do.
All right. Who would you like to share?
The Softail Lowboy, the 03, I named her Lucille years ago. Lucille and her sister is Bertha.
Nice.
Big Bertha. She's big and burly. She carries my luggage. She's got my radio in there, so we have GPS on the phone with telephone brackets on the handlebars. You can go everywhere, battery charger and all.
Really?
Yeah. Do you guys ride with larger groups?
We try to, it's ideal to ride with 10 people or less. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
But when we do ride with bigger groups, it could get up to like 30, maybe 40.
Yeah.
I know that Morty's school does the same thing where they would do once a year or maybe twice a year a big group ride. I mean, I love those group rides, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when there's too many people, it becomes chaos.
I've done it for years, and we've had rides where we were 6, and we've had rides where we were 36. When you have a destination to get to at a certain time, I know it's not a dentist appointment. I know it's not something that you're not pressed for time, but you want to be there within a reasonable amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you pull up at a gas station and you expect to be ready and rolling in 20 to 30 minutes, and 1 hour later you're still there because there's 30 plus guys waiting to fuel up, and he forgot to go pee, and he went to get a sandwich, and he's having a cigarette, and it's an hour that we've been parked now, and people start blowing smoke out their ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could get a little hectic because there's too many riders together.
No, don't forget, the reason I mentioned that is because with Morty's, it's all a bunch of new riders too.
Good luck.
I remember when it was my first year riding. Morty's had put on I think it was Labor Day, September 4th, right? Something like that. They did a Labor Day ride, but it ended up raining. So what ended up happening was the teachers decided to cancel it because, not everybody was used to riding in the rain. But one of my friends, Arthur, and we took the reins and we actually told the group, like, look, the event is canceled, but I know some people still want to ride. Who's willing to ride in the rain? And there was still about 25 people that came.
Wow. Out of how many?
Well, the original ride was supposed to be about 50, but I had counted over 70 people that it came.
Wow.
But we went somewhere up north in Quebec. One of the riders ended up, like his bike just stopped working. He sputtered in the highway right after the Colisée, and I still have video footage of that. His bike just stopped working, and I had to, I let the group go, and I stayed with him until his dad picked him up. And trying to catch those guys was like the best feeling in my life because, without saying any speed, I was hauling ass, trying to get there, trying to cross the boat, meet up with them, and I don't know, it's just this feeling of, I don't know how to say it. It's not freedom, but it's not even satisfaction. It's something more than that. And it's a weird feeling to describe because I don't even know what to call it. But once we got to Quebec and then came back down, or whatever city that was, and came back down, it was pure bliss. Riding with, again, 20, 30 people was great for what it was. But again, it was too much for me. I felt like riding with a close group of friends, like maybe 5 to 10, is more than enough. But again, that's personal. Some people like riding in big groups, other people like riding alone. So,
if you get 6 people that ride similarly, the same, you're good. You're good for the day. The bigger the group, the more the headaches. But what we do is we split the groups up. I mean, we've organized rides where there's north of 40 riders. Well, we're not going to go 40 together. There'll be a group leaving at 8 in the morning. There's another group leaving at 9. And there's another group leaving at 10. And there's the last group that leaves at 11, for example. So you split up the groups. You make 4 different groups. Or if they want to leave at the same time, they can, but they have different departure zones. So we organize it in that way. It suits everyone for the reasons I mentioned before. And there's the danger aspect. Having too many riders together, especially if they're 1 or 2 years of riding experience, could be tricky. Could be very tricky. The rain that you mentioned, it's very important that every rider, even new rider, rides in the rain. Because the day will come when you're on that long ride and the rain, will not let up for hours. What do? You go and you get yourself a motel room and you sleep the whole day. What if it's raining for the next 2 days? So I have my rain gear packed in my bag on my Harley. It never comes out until it rains. Everywhere I go, any day, my rain gear is in my bike. Everywhere I go. So if you can't ride in the rain, there's an issue. You have to. Even the young and inexperienced riders, they can do a half hour the first time, they can do an hour the second time, and you know what? Before you know it, they'll be able to ride a full day in the rain. With the proper gear, you can go anywhere for as long as you want. With the proper gear.
See, that's the thing. I like rolling wet, but that's me. I'm
you
weird
do?
like that. I'll go in jogging pants and I'll be riding in the rain, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going home anyway, so I'm going to take a shower, stick this in the laundry, and done. But that's another question that I had for you. Now, you said, having the proper gear. What would consist as proper gear for any new rider or even any experienced rider? What's important to have, with you at all times? And what do you think about having the right equipment? Do you just buy off Amazon, or do you go to a reputable place? Is it okay to buy secondhand? What's your thoughts on it? Because let's be real, our gear, whether it's cruiser or sports, like Supersport, it's expensive.
Yeah.
We chose an expensive hobby,
Yeah. Let's start from the bottom up. Boots. I find it primordial. It's very, very important. You wear a boot or a bootie, something that has at least covers the ankle. Wearing sneakers on a motorcycle isn't the best thing. It's actually very dangerous. Knocking on wood that nothing would happen to you, but if anything ever did happen to you, sneakers could end up mashing up your foot into minced meat. It's horrible. Back to the rain gear. You gotta have either waterproof boots or boot covers. You can have regular boots, and they're not waterproof. You have nylon boot covers. You can get the inexpensive ones for about $10 to $15. Nylon. Be sure not to touch your pipes with that because they melt instantly. I bought several pairs of the cheap ones, and then I found out that cheap is more expensive because well, because I bought 3 pairs of the nylon ones, they all burnt, and then I bought the $60 pair at Harley, and I have them for 10 years now.
Oh, okay.
You know, those can touch the pipe and not melt. They're different. They're of Kevlar, but they're waterproof. Then you buy your rain gear, pants and jacket. There's the inexpensive ones for about $120, $130, jacket and pants with suspenders. I highly recommend the suspended pants. And then there's more expensive rain gear, a lot more expensive. You're talking about $300, $400, $500 rain gear set.
Wait, those exist? $500 rain gear?
They exist, absolutely. But it's the way they seal, it's the way they breathe. You could take everything off and not have a drop of water in you anywhere. The inexpensive gear will keep you basically dry, but when you take it off, when you've reached your destination, you will see the wet spots. It's
like
not
humidity,
enough.
Right?
Pardon? No. Water sneaks in from certain areas. So the more expensive stuff is designed, and they've done some research, so they've designed a jacket that seals properly around the neck, so when the water is flowing off the helmet and the glasses, it doesn't go from your face inside the jacket. It stops right here.
Okay.
So there's designs that are there to help keep you dry. And waterproof gloves. That's another thing. Harley makes waterproof gloves. Many other brands make waterproof gloves. The feeling is not the same. They're a little bigger, puffier, but they're waterproof. So you can ride 10 hours with them and your hands will be dry. Okay. Some even come with a thumb wiper blade.
Oh, so you could
remove some of the water from either your visor or your glasses. In the past, I would ride only with a half helmet, the beanies. But in the last couple of years, I started using the 3/4.
Okay, yeah.
So I would wear those in the early season. So let's say March, April, May. And then I'd go to my beanie. And then by September, October, I'd go back to my 3/4. Keeps my ears warmer. It comes around the back. But now I've crossed the line, and on a long trip, I'll pack my full face.
Okay.
Why? I'll tell you why. Because if I'm out in the rain, I don't want to be wearing a beanie helmet.
No, okay, no.
It makes it so much easier to just have a helmet that seals and you're done.
Yeah.
Have you ever got pins from the rain?
Are you crazy, man?
The smaller the
in
raindrop.
In the summertime, I like, okay, this is obviously a personal preference there, but I like wearing just my vest, no t-shirt under, so I'm like, it's free-flowing inside, and I've caught a couple days where it just started raining out of nowhere, and it's the most painful thing I've ever experienced. Because I'm going on the highway at 100, 120 kilometers an hour while it's raining. It's like bullets hitting you, your face, your body, everything.
The funny thing that I discovered was that the smaller the raindrops, the more painful they are. They're like little needles.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So the other part of that question was, where would you buy your gear? Like, is it okay to buy it secondhand? Because some people will be like, oh, I use it for a month. It's cheap, so I use it for a month.
It's a preferential thing. It's what you like. If you could find a crazy deal over something that was bought but it's the wrong size, it's something to consider. If you go there and the guy tells you I bought it, I used it twice, and then you go there and it's falling apart, you know that he's lying.
For sure.
So you got to really look at the merchandise because there's some huge amounts of money to be saved by buying something pre-owned. Huge amounts, especially for a rain suit that's $379 plus tax, you're looking at $400 and some dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick it up for $100 used. You're saving a huge amount of money. I don't know about helmets. I couldn't personally buy a pre-owned helmet. Helmets are very delicate. As much as they can save your life, they're very delicate. If you drop your helmet once, it's finished.
Yeah.
It's lost its ability to absorb the impact.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute you drop it by mistake, the helmet is done.
I had one last question before we get into the good stuff.
Okay.
For newer riders or even experienced riders, people that have been riding for years or just people that are still looking to get bikes, in regards to finding the right bike, do you recommend looking, I don't know, Kijiji or Lepac or, any like or what is that, direct seller? Or would you go to a dealership for, finding a bike? And, tell us about the hazards of doing both, if anything.
If it's your first bike, first and foremost, you need to decide what size bike you're going to get. How tall you are makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. How old you are makes another difference.
How so?
Because if the guy's 40 years old and getting into motorcycling now, I don't think he'll be ready for a Hayabusa.
Very true. Okay. Yeah.
So age has some to do with it. Size has a lot to do with it. You have to be careful in your purchase. Like I preach to some new Harley riders. They want to run out and buy a Sportster because it's the least expensive bike. So I said, okay. But when the time comes for you to change bikes, you'll be trying to sell a Sportster in a market that's super saturated with used Sportsters. Mm-hmm. Look on Kijiji, there's 800 Sportsters for sale.
Okay.
Good luck getting yours picked out, unless you're super, super cheap. So this is why I sort of give them the option to consider one model bigger, where you can enjoy it for 2 or 3 years before you want to swap it out for something even bigger. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get one size bigger, it doesn't mean that you'll be rolling at 140 kilometers an hour. Mm-hmm. It just means that you've made a wiser choice in your acquisition. And you'll be able to keep it for 3 or 4 years before you swap it out. Mm-hmm. Size makes a difference on different models. Sport bikes, custom bikes, choppers. There's so many different. There's sports touring. You have to fit into your bike. Mm-hmm. If you don't fit into it, you won't enjoy it as much. You're gonna want to sell it. You're gonna want to change it within the first summer.
Well, see, that's what I thought, because again, I'm a bigger guy, and my belly's actually the one that stops me from enjoying a sports bike. Because I'd have to and then get on it. But I don't get me wrong, I love my bike to death. Mm-hmm. I'd like to try, a different bike. I'd like to get a sports touring just to try it out for one season.
Have you ever considered trying an Indian or a Harley?
I tried my friend's Indian.
Okay.
The Scout.
Okay.
I didn't like it because it's too much. I find it's aggressive because your feet are in front because it's forward controls, but then you're also all the way in front like this, and that wasn't something that I liked,
Okay.
If anything, I would like to put my legs straight or even a little bit in back, and just a little bit in front. Just
okay.
That's how I like it, right?
Okay.
So,
on your bike now, how are you seated?
Front forward controls.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a Vulcan 900 custom, so.
Right. So it's similar to what you were just demonstrating.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like this, but I could lean back or just just relax when I'm sitting on it. If I feel like going fast, I have the back pegs where I'll actually put my feet in, and
correct.
I'll be super in front of it, but I enjoy it,
I use the rear pegs or the floorboards, or depending on what bike I'm on, for to change position of my legs. Because if you're legs are in the same position for let's say 2.5 or 3 hours.
It locks in and
It
it's
locks the knees, everything is so you like to change the position every hour and a half. That's where I use my rear pegs. So yeah, we're gonna have to try to get you on a Harley to see how you feel.
I wouldn't touch those for now. My budget can't touch those for now. But that's what they, that's why it's coined doctor money, right? So
The money,
we'll get there eventually.
the money is crazy now. They've gotten really expensive. You can go into a dealership and look at the top of the line ones, and you're looking at 55, 56, 57,000 before tax.
And then stock on top of that.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. They start introductory level, let's say around 11,000, and you can go up to almost 60 before tax.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's for Harley. Indian is a little more affordable. It's got a lot of bike. They've got a lot of bike that they've popped out into production the last, I'd say, 5 years. They've come a long way. I respect the brand. They were involved in a race, a touring race on a track. It was an Indian and a Harley, and Indian won. Yeah,
Wasn't that the King of the Baggers?
Yeah,
Yeah, I watched that. That was great.
Indian won.
So, the good stuff. The things people have been waiting to hear. What's one of your best memories on your bike?
There's been a huge collection over the years.
The best, though. The best. The one that tops it up. The one where sometimes you think about it from time to time and it's like, wow, I can't believe that happened.
When we were one of the most, it was a memorable because it was an adventure. We were in Gaspé. On one side we had the ocean, on this side was the mountain, and here was the road in the middle. We were using the throttle to keep the bike straight. That's how much wind was coming in with the rain.
Okay.
We rode several hours in this horrible, hard rain. Back in those days, we even had a truck with a trailer in case of any breakdowns. We would just pack the luggage and throw it in the trailer. Wouldn't have to pack it on the bike, so it changed the ride a little bit. But we stopped doing that. Now we pack our bikes and we don't need a trailer, and we will do 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers in a week without a trailer. But back in the day, we had a trailer, and some guys decided that they weren't going to ride anymore in the rain, so they rolled their bikes into the trailer, strapped them down, and had the trailer pull them along because it was a memorable thing because I don't think I'd want to do it again, but I can never forget that. Using the throttle to keep the bike straight against the wind and the rain.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like things you see in movies.
Yeah. And then we were stopped at a certain area. We couldn't take it anymore. We just said, stop. So we all pull over. And around the bend, here comes 2 BMW sport bikes. And they pull up next to us. They open their visor and they tell us, don't go that way. We got the message. Yeah. It'll be something that stuck with me till the days I get old and gray. How
many people were you on that ride? Even
I'd say about 24, 25 guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there was only 2 of those that didn't make it, but then the rest of you just soldiered on?
Yeah, we did. We stopped a lot. When I'm talking rain, I'm talking each drop was the size of my finger, so there was a lot of rain. Even when you're wearing, like I said earlier, the right gear keeps you safe and keeps you dry. You wear the inexpensive rain suit. You can get away with it if you get caught in a little shower when you're coming home from the South Shore. But when you're on a long haul trip, you need the good stuff. Because we got stuck in the rain for several hours. So some guys that had the $100 rain suits were pretty wet on the inside after several hours. But overall, it was an adventure. And that's what we try to keep each ride, each gathering, each road trip is it's a different adventure. We see different things, we do different things. So we like to enjoy every town, every little city we roll into to the maximum.
That sounds like a great adventure, actually.
Yeah.
I hope one of these days I could get one of those, When you go out on rides with your group, are you usually the road captain, or do you have somebody else that does that?
Most of the time I'm up in front. Most of the time. I'd say 90% of the time I'm the road captain.
So that being said, you know a lot of the roads here in Quebec and, well, a little bit out of province and whatnot.
Yeah, I know the local stuff pretty much like the back of my hand. And then when there's longer trips, I mean, I don't need a map or anything or a GPS to bring me to Gaspé or Saguenay. I just decide what roads I'm going to take, and I take them and I go. If you're going to head into Maine and New Hampshire and you want to go to a certain town, then I strongly suggest you use a GPS system. You can get them on your phone today, and any bike you ride, there's a bracket you can buy for $30, $40. You can attach your cellular phone. You can have the Waze system, which is very effective.
And it tells you where the cops are.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said it's very effective.
Yes, Waze. You guys saved my life too many times.
And you can even wire it up. You could even pull some power to keep your battery on your phone charged. Smartest way to go.
Do you ride with music, or do you ride like with nothing?
Ever since I bought my bagger, I love music. I love music.
So what kind of Bluetooth system do you have?
I don't have a Bluetooth system.
Oh, it's on your bike.
Sorry. I have a Bluetooth system. I use XM radio. Satellite, XM radio satellite.
Okay.
So anywhere I am, I have the genre of music that I like. Because if you're listening to a radio station and you change towns and cities, so do the music stations. Yeah. So you lose them. With the XM radio, you can be anywhere and listen to the same genre of music all day. So that's basically what I have on. XM radio and Waze. So if there's an issue down the road while the music is playing and there's a car accident, Waze will notify me that there's an accident up ahead. The music will pause for 10 seconds and Waze will inform me of what's going on down the road.
Now, is that an in-ear Bluetooth, or
No.
it's how do you listen to that?
It comes out from my speakers.
Okay, so everything is on your bike already.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've seen those with Harleys. You guys are super lucky for that one.
Something easy. You can put that on your Vulcan. All you need is to put a bracket for your cell phone on your handlebars.
I was thinking about just buying like a $40 Bluetooth radio.
You don't want to have a Bluetooth. You don't want to have an earplug all day in your ear. You want to also hear what's going on around you. You want to be able to hear the car that's honking. You want to be able to hear a car that's screeching behind you or beside you. So you don't want to limit yourself to what you can hear. This is why I like the music open on the bike. I also hear everything around me.
Now, that being said, do you use earplugs, or
No.
you're like virgin ears?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I mean, you have you have the fairing in front, right, with the wind blocker. So the wind, you don't hear the wind going.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say I'm a new rider, and you're gonna be like, Jeff, I'm gonna take you to a nice place, like a nice little ride with windy roads. That's like 30 minutes away from Montreal. Where would you bring me?
Probably bring you to La Chute.
Oh, where the
45
327 is.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone talks about La Chute. I love it.
Yeah. It's a nice little run. It's not far. It's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
Or we can go down to Venise on Quebec.
Yeah.
We can take the back roads.
Where's the back roads?
Cross the Mercier. Cross the Mercier.
You're gonna have to give me that map.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
And
don't
take
know.
all back roads. I don't like being on your average. I don't like to be on the 10, or I don't want to be on the 40 for a couple of hours. I don't want to do that. I go to Toronto by the old Highlands. I take the Highland roads. I take Highway 2. I go
Okay.
through all the little towns.
That's
all the
Highway 2 is the one that goes to Brockville, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I've taken
It was
that.
all the way to Toronto.
That one's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I didn't know it goes all the way to Toronto.
All the way. That was the old road that went to Toronto back in the 60s and 70s.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's very scenic out there.
It's gorgeous out there.
Yeah.
The only thing that I find in the Highlands, gas stations are really far apart, so be sure you're fueled up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, one of I think it was John that even, excuse me, it was John that even mentioned this to me. He said, whenever you're in a group ride, if ever you feel like you should gas up, then gas up, because if you screw up and there's no gas station for the next 100 kilometers, you're screwed. So like, if you have a feeling, just do it, you know?
The minute you pull up to a gas station, if you're not full, gas up. It's a clear-cut rule in our group. We pull up in a gas station, you can't be full. You can't be the one guy that's full, and the rest of us need gas. So everybody gas up.
Yeah, so you always top up. That's the
Yeah,
rule,
because
right?
in the beginning, we would gas up, and there would be two guys having a cigarette by the corner of the gas station, and they said, no, we're okay, we don't need gas. Half an hour later, we're in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, we need gas. Yeah, well, we had gas.
So that's actually happened to you before.
Several times. So now it's a clear-cut rule. There's no gray zone areas, nothing. It's black and white. We stop at a gas station, everybody tops off. Even if you have 3/4 of a tank, top it off. What happens is if you run out of gas, I'd feel guilty just leaving you there. So they'd be running around, fill up a container, bring it back to you.
Yeah.
So everyone's running around for you because you decided you didn't want to fuel up with everyone else. It's a matter of operating together. It becomes a well-oiled machine when everybody knows what they have to do. It's easier this way. So it's cut and
synergy,
dry.
right? Everyone has their own roles and has their own set of rules to follow, so that it just keeps on going.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Any upcoming projects you have, not only personally but with the group?
Well,
Yeah.
we are for the first time in the history of the Bro Riders of Montreal, we're going to start a division for the ladies. They could ride with us too if they choose to, but they can have their own division. And with that being said, sports bikes as well, a totally different division. So there will be 2 new divisions this year.
Do you guys do also any charity work, or?
We have done it. We've raised money. We do. We generally raise as much as we can at our Christmas parties, and we bring the check to the Montreal Children's. For the last couple of years, we raised between $800 and $1,000 each year. It's not big money, but it's a gesture that counts.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because the children are the future.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, no, totally understand. When do you think your next group ride would be? And is that something that would be open to other people?
Our next group ride would have to be sometime in the end of March, I guess, depending on temperature. Figure if the snow has melted, late March, early April, mid-April. It can vary. So we play it by ear, depending on the temperature, and we go. And we invite new riders. There's very experienced riders. There's guys that have been on a bike almost their whole lives, and there's guys that have started 2 and 3 years ago. It doesn't make a difference. You roll at your own pace. You roll at your comfort. Like I tell new riders that come along on a ride, what's important is your safety. So forget about trying to keep up to the guy that's been riding for 30 years. If you're uncomfortable keeping up to him at that speed, fall back. I'd rather you be lost on a highway than lost in another way. You understand?
Yeah.
With today's technology, everybody on their phone has a GPS. They can stop over. You could text the group that you've lost, and before you know it, you're found. You give each other a pin drop, and within 30 minutes, you found each other again. It's nothing complicated. So I tell everybody, never put yourself in an uncomfortable situation when you're speeding to catch up to the group because you don't want to lose them. don't put yourself in that position. If it's too fast for you, let them go. You'll catch up later.
Now, you see, the reason why I asked that question is for that very reason. A lot of people, especially when they're new, they try to look for places to go to be part of a group. And sometimes they don't feel like they belong because you'll have some groups that'll go faster than others and they feel like they have to keep up. But I love what you just said, where you have to be safe. Know your limits, and if you want to push it, then do it, but in a safe way, like not in an environment where you're stuck in bumper to bumper traffic and you're going through lane splitting and doing stupid things. Like, I don't care when people do that. Obviously, it gets me fuming when it happens to me, but it is what it is. People are gonna do it anyway, but just some people, they don't feel like they belong to certain groups because other people will do something very bad or something that they don't feel comfortable with. The whole point, again, of this show is there's different riders and different groups, and not everyone's going to fit in, but just letting you know that, just because you had a bad experience once doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever.
Correct.
And also, I love that fact that you're using technology where you're saying, okay, we'll meet you over there, just pin drop where we're going or whatever. I feel like that's the best way to do it, to go about it. Again, not everyone's experience is the exact same. Some people are new riders, other people have been riding for years. I totally believe in that, especially like when somebody's like, yo, I want to go really fast in that corner and blah, 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 whatever. If I'm a new rider, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So like for all the new riders there, don't feel like you're obligated to do that.
No.
Again, technology is super advanced. It's not the 1900s where we don't know where the hell we're going anymore. Very important, just be safe, because not only by keeping yourself safe, you're keeping somebody else safe by not making a mistake. And that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, it's common sense. It's common sense, and it'd be easy to say that everybody does this, but unfortunately they do not. I would never take my nephew and put him in a car and tell him, I'm going to speed in my car, you follow me in your car, when he's had his license for 1 year. Mm-hmm. It's the same principle. It's even worse on a motorcycle.
Yeah. No, again, and not
So
everybody
safety is
thinks
first,
like that.
Jeff. Safety is first. You're on two wheels before you go out on your ride. Tire pressure, safety, 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 safety. Because at the end of the day, you're on two wheels.
I mean, unless you're on a three-wheeler.
Yeah. We haven't reached there yet. We're not of that age yet. You never know.
Hey, eventually, I'd like to ride and have the wind hitting my face, right? I mean, look, we've covered a lot today. I really want to thank you very much for graciously having me here with you at your humble abode. Did you want to add anything for the viewers? Like any words of wisdom, or just repeat something?
We're inviting new riders, inexperienced riders, any make or model motorcycle. If you want to learn to ride safely, if you want to learn to ride with experienced riders, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We have an open page on Facebook. You can private message and you'll be answered within an hour or less. We'll take you under our wings and we'll ride with you, and you will be a more seasoned rider after going out a few times. You'll see the big difference in your capacities. So this message goes out to all the young and up-and-coming riders for 2022, male or female, custom, Harley, sport touring, Supersport. We are open to everybody.
Again, Nick, thank you very much for having me. And thank you guys for watching this episode of The Motorcycle Lounge. So if you have any questions about Nick and his crew and the Bro Riders of Montreal, you'll find their Facebook and Instagram down at the bottom in the description. And again, if you're uncertain about getting a motorcycle and you're not yet convinced, check out my videos weekly here on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button so that you can see all of the new content every single week. And like I always like to say, facts tell, but stories sell. Keep it real, y'all. Thanks again, bro.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.